Welcome back to Supernova Traveler. I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 5, The Honeymoon Begins. So we open up with scenes of this beautiful resort and with Amelia and Bennett waking up to each other. And they look really happy. I think they will fall in love. The only issue that Amelia and Bennett probably really have at this point is the fact that Amelia has a career as being a doctor, and she's going to have to move around at least 2 more times before she's actually very settled. Which, if they plan it right and they don't have any children, should not be something that's extremely difficult. And it's not an issue. You see that they've already gotten to the groove of being with each other. They wake up together and they do an 8 a.m. swim, which is so nice. I need to find that resort and book me a room. They really enjoy spending time together. They get along with the other couples. And, there was one moment when they were swimming. And for some reason, my man just don't like pants. He's wearing boxers for swimming instead of wearing, swimming trunks. And Woody makes a little note about it, but it's like it's Bennett. We know him. Let him be him. Let him do what he does. Then by the end of the episode, or by the end of their scene, Bennett states that he has a crush on Amelia, and Amelia is hoping that this will be YOLO, which is you only love once, as described by Bennett, and they have a very intimate conversation before going to bed. Bennett kind of discloses to Amelia that as a child, his mother had cancer, and basically due to that, he had to face the idea of death at a very early stage, and the ideas of mortality and the questions that come with mortality, and possibly losing your best friend or your caregiver. And him and his sister turned to theater, and that kind of helped him navigate those feelings. And Amelia, she says that her childhood obviously was pretty happy, although her mother worked a lot and wasn't around because she was in school at the time. When she was around, she was very present and in the moment with her children. So they bond over the close relationship that they have with their moms. They share these very intimate stories with one another, and I feel like they're moving in the right direction. Now, let's move from the fun couple, to a very boring couple, Olivia and Brett. First things first, this is the face of a woman asking all the wrong questions. Look, Olivia, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. She wakes up in the morning asking Brett, who, I actually don't really favor, and he just did not make a first impression on me that was positive. And she's asking him questions like, when was your last date? How many dates was it? Did you think it was going to turn into something? Woman, why are you asking questions that are going to lead to red flags or going to cause an issue? Like, he's married to you now. His focus is on you. Why are you bringing his focus towards someone else? I didn't like that about Olivia. It seems like she's going to be one of those needy people, and if she don't, do what she needs you to do right away, she gets like some insecurities. She was already talking about her arms in the first episode, and the girl's already skinny. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see. And they just seem like they're forcing a relationship. And just like another couple I know that we'll review after this, they don't have a lot of playfulness with them. They did do a obstacle course because, they're both supposedly bonding over being athletic. And I guess you call playful banter with them. They were talking about where to pee, with whom to pee with, and the proper etiquette of pee. I guess some people will call that a quirky conversation, but it doesn't inspire romance or anything to me. They did take a moment to sit by the beach and go take a swim in the river, and then they decided to start talking about their childhood, which they described as if from scenes from Sandlot, Stranger Things, or It, for which is full of horror. Any foreshadowing, anyone? I don't see it for these two, and I'm really hoping that they find out sooner than later. I honestly do think Olivia is into this relationship and that she does really want to be married. Brett, on the other hand, I think he's going to do his best to try to please Olivia or do what he can in his own power of desire, but I just don't think he's actually fully into it. And I think his last engagement did scar him a bit, but we'll see in the coming episodes. We're on this beautiful resort with this beautiful scenery, and Christina and Henry, they're still boring. I don't even know what to talk about in regards to them because they're so boring. They're not giving the audience anything to really go on. Besides, Henry comes off like he may, don't quote me and don't judge me, be on the spectrum of autism, because it's like he has this weird thing where he needs to be extremely comfortable to actually talk to someone. He's not very verbal at all. I'm not sure if he gets more verbal or not. They are not excitable people. Christina's mouth is still held too tightly. Henry literally talks more to the producers than his own wife. This guy has definitely chose the right field of work. Everything to Henry is literally a risk assessment. It's hilarious. Despite the fact that they are boring, I do genuinely like Henry the most. Christina hasn't done anything in this episode that I detest. She did seem like she was trying to enjoy herself and trying to expose Henry to new things, but I still not really feeling her. Later on in the episode, all the couples meet up and they sit on the couch and they have like a little happy hour snack situation, and I swear these parrots have more action than Henry and Christina will probably get this entire episode or this entire season. So as the episode proceeds, all I can think of is, why am I not at this resort? This resort looks like so much fun and I seriously need a vacation. And as I predicted, Karen is on the hunt and is in high alert of red flags. First, he's had too many relationships. Alright, Miles had 10 solid relationships. He found out in each relationship that they were not meant to be married. Whereas Karen, although she's had 2 long-term relationships, the last relationship she had that was long-term wasn't even a relationship because the man was obviously cheating on her most of the time and wound up having a child with another woman. So how are you going to judge Miles for having 10 relationships where as an adult they decided to break up, whereas you decided to be a ride or die and your whole guy wound up having a kid on you? Karen, don't nitpick. Don't do it. Then she says it's his age. He's making jokes and the jokes don't really hit home with her, and maybe he finds it funny because of his age. It's just a joke. It doesn't have nothing to do with age. It's just not funny to you, Karen. Then she's upset because she doesn't want to be called a cougar. I guess it's understandable. That's not your personality. If you're not playful in that manner, you don't find that funny because you're dating a younger guy. Miles, stop calling her a cougar. Don't give her any more red flags. They graduate to calling each other my stranger. they describe the idea as being, even though they're not close or they don't know each other, they still have this protective need over each other and wanting to get to know each other and just wanting to help each other. I just hope Karen doesn't friend zone Miles. I get the strong feeling that Miles is not headed for the marriage that he wants, and Karen is already trying to figure out ways to friend zone him, so she has an excuse not to stay with them. They seem to be very playful. They play off of each other. They have very healthy banter. They have so many jokes. But again, that can also lead to just a friend zone situation. Later on in the episode, they meet up with Miles' friend, Woody, and his wife, Amani. And they go on a really cool date all together. And I think it's really cool that they have this support system while going through this process. So let's go ahead and get into Amani and Woody. So Woody picked this date apparently because he wanted to hear his wife scream and for her to hold him tight and basically get her into the mind frame that he is her protector. But now I want to go speedboating and there's nowhere for me to do it. Anywho, they are very flirtatious, Amani and Woody, and we can feel the chemistry through the TV. Out of all the couples, I feel like right now, genuinely, they are excited about being together. I'm still concerned only because of what Woody's friends have described him as, being the good time guy. And he's on a honeymoon, so of course he's having a good time. So right now, Woody is on an all-time high, and we just really haven't met him yet. It's just basically what I feel. And Amani has some concerns that I believe are valid. So she, of course, wants to have sex with Woody, but she did come from a relationship where she was with a man, and the whole time they were together, he was already married. So even though I don't even feel Amani has any emotional baggage, I think she really came into this as a whole new person, open-minded and open-hearted. She did not bring any of that baggage from a past relationship, but it is valid that she wants to take it slow. She wants to have sex with him, but things that concern her are basically that she doesn't want to be acting off of pure lust. She doesn't want to have sex and then all of a sudden they can't work through or progress in the relationship the way she would want to progress in the relationship. And I think she kind of has a fear that sex will stall that growth. But they truly have a vibe together, and I really hope that having a friend go through the process with him, that Woody will behave correctly and have someone to go to ask the questions that he needs to ask to make sure that he continues to proceed in the relationship in a confident, healthy way. They go on their first date, and they talk about these past relationships, and they talk about these concerns, of course. And lo and behold, never fails, Woody jumps into the river, swimming along, and loses his ring in the river. But luckily, Amani wasn't too upset about it. They played it off as a joke, and of course, they'll just get a new ring when they get home. Well, that concludes my review for Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 5, The Honeymoon Begins. Let me know if you agree with some of the things I said, or if you have your own input. I'm going to go ahead and get started on Episode 6, and hopefully I can get Episode 7 up before Episode 8 comes out. I know last review I said I was going to be doing the I See Red Flags, but I hadn't realized that I missed 3 episodes. So that will be up next instead. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. The more people that like my videos, the more that you subscribe means that I'll show up on YouTube's radar when people research Married at First Sight. And I really want to grow. So if you can just help me along in doing that, I'll be so grateful. And enjoy the rest of your day.